Have you ever done something and thought to yourself, I'm a genius, and then realized later on maybe it wasn't such a good idea as you thought? Well, there are certainly people who've done that on cruise ships. And today I've got 5 examples of things that guests probably thought was a really good idea, but the rest of us are kind of scratching our heads about it. Hey everyone, it's Matt from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com. When it comes to a cruise vacation, you want to maximize your investment, right? You're paying a lot of money for a great vacation. You want to get the most out of it. You want to enjoy it to the max. I am with you 100% on that. The problem is I think sometimes people take it a little too far, or they overthink a problem, or maybe underthink the problem, but they come up with a solution that makes you think twice about why would they ever have thought that was a good idea. I found 5 examples of this on the internet, people sharing photos and examples of what people thought was probably a good idea, but in retrospect, not the case. And to be clear, I'm not perfect. I've done really dumb things on cruise ships that I thought at the time was a really good idea, ended up not being the case. So in the spirit of no one is perfect, let's start off with number 1, and that is one of my favorites of all time, people who drag their mattresses out of their cabins over to the balcony. We've actually seen this time and time again, where somebody takes the mattress out of the room and puts it on their balcony. The idea is balcony space is great, it's beautiful outside, but the chairs that are on your balcony, they're comfortable but not great. Like I want to be able to relax and lounge. Bam, the mattress idea. I think also some people think it might be really cool to sleep outside under the stars and enjoy the ocean air. They romanticize that whole idea of being outdoors laying down. I've seen this particular hack, if you want to call it that, a number of times. And Royal Caribbean does not have a rule necessarily that implicitly prohibits it. This definitely falls under the should you actually do it category of decisions. And for a lot of people, they're concerned about, of course, the mattress being soiled, whether it's from rain or just being outside. Of course, the balcony floor isn't necessarily the cleanest thing out there. It's not that Royal Caribbean doesn't clean it, but when you go into a hotel room situation in general, of which a cruise ship stateroom is like that, you're always a little leery of the cleanliness. I mean, obviously, Royal Caribbean always cleans the sheets and turns them over every sailing, but the mattress itself, it's got a lifespan to it. And people have definitely commented that maybe they don't want to sleep on a mattress that was previously sitting on an exterior floor. Don't forget, in a lot of cases, these cruise ships are in a humid environment like the Caribbean, and humidity can affect materials in a different way than you can necessarily see with the naked eye. Next up is a photo of a gentleman who went to the Windjammer Cafe and was presented with a problem I think many of us have thought about, which is, man, this food is good, but I need to get some of it back to, I don't know, my cabin or somewhere else on the ship, and I only have 2 hands. So in this case, there was a gentleman who actually filled up Tupperware, so I'm assuming he brought Tupperware from home, and then put it in a shopping basket that, again, he brought from home, and then literally towed it behind his wheelchair to whoever in the ship, I'm not exactly sure. This is one of those ideas where it seems like an over-engineered problem. Now, let me be clear. You're totally allowed to take food out of the Windjammer. It's encouraged. If you want to go in there, grab something and bring it back to your cabin, bring it back to the pool deck, anywhere else on the ship, that is totally fine there. I think the bigger issue is that this person is taking the time and effort to bring Tupperware and a shopping basket on board the ship to begin with for this exact purpose. I mean, there are plates there, and Royal Caribbean will give you actually covers for them. If you ask one of the people that's working in the Windjammer, hey, I want to transport this food, but don't worry about it splashing or spilling or what have you. The thing you can't do is take the Windjammer food off the ship with you. I've often thought about that, actually. I was like, man, this Indian curry, which is my favorite things to get on a cruise ship, wouldn't it be great when I'm at home a day or 2 later? Because some foods really do last a long time, right? Curry must have a lifespan of like 3 weeks, I'm going to guess. But at any rate, you don't do that because, number one, it's against actually the laws of the country you're probably coming back into. In fact, the United States, you can't do that. Number two, even in places you're just visiting for the day, like, hey, you're in Cozumel and you want to have a lunch with you for where you're going, you're not allowed to bring food off the ship. Ultimately, I think the bigger problem, assuming that this gentleman was not taking it off the ship, which simply I think he just completely over-engineered a problem that didn't really exist. Plates, you got to make multiple trips, bring people with you. I get that. But, I just don't know that you need quite Tupperware full of food to be brought somewhere else on the ship. Plus, how do you clean it? I mean, obviously in your stateroom cabin, but, it just seems very cumbersome and very unnecessary. Over on Reddit, I saw a very interesting photo that I had to scratch my head at for a couple of minutes. This was somebody who put connecting door pro tip. And they have, as you can see here, a pillow and towels and luggage in front of the top and bottom of a connecting door. So these are connecting staterooms in which there's a common door in between them. Ideally, these are used for families where you and the people on the other side of the connecting door know each other. And we do this all the time with our kids when we're booking a lot of cruises. We'll do 2 connecting rooms. The reason why this person is doing this in the first place is probably because they don't know the person on the other side of the door. And those connecting doors are notorious for being very thin in terms of noise protection. And if you don't know the person on the other side of the door, it's very easy for whatever sounds are coming out on the other side of the room to bleed into your room. And so I'm guessing that this is what it's about. I mean, it's entirely possible that there was something else afoot here, but that's my guess. And essentially what they tried to do was they used magnetic hooks to keep the pillow and the towels up at the top of the door, and then I'm assuming they just jammed it at the bottom. Because, of course, the door is got a little bit of give at the top and the bottom for, I don't know, airflow or something, I'm not sure. But that's the idea behind it. Now, obviously, you could avoid this exact scenario by not booking a connecting cabin if you don't know the person next to you. What sometimes happens, I think more commonly than not, is somebody books a guaranteed cabin where they let Royal Caribbean pick the room, and then Royal Caribbean picks a connecting cabin, and you end up in this kind of a situation. So maybe this was a makeshift option. Now, the magnetic hooks you see here are actually really helpful. And I can't comment as to how effective the soundproofing actually was, but if you are in a situation in which you have a connecting door like this, would this be the worst thing to do? I mean, probably not. There's no damage. This isn't like the mattress situation from earlier where you're putting it out in the elements or anything like this. You're not really abusing anything that's being destroyed. It's a lot of work, and you need to remember to have magnets with you, but that's something we always recommend bringing on cruise ships anyway, because they have a lot of other purposes besides propping up pillows on top of a connecting door. It's just kind of something that maybe, I don't know that I would go to this length to do it personally, but it's certainly something I've rarely seen. In fact, this photo was the first time I've ever seen somebody go to this length to try to block out the noise. Next up is somebody who left out a sign for their room service person, I guess. So somebody ordered room service and left this nastygram explaining that the food took 2.5 hours to arrive and they made requests and it was inedible and blah, blah, blah. Here's the thing. Number one, this person wasted their time. When you leave food out in the hallway, which is totally fine, by the way, to leave your used plates, whatever, in the hallway, they'll be picked up. The person picking them up does not care. They're literally going to scoop it up, put it on their trays, usually have a bit of a push cart with them, throw it in there, and that's it. I highly doubt this feedback, which the person in this cabin, room 1826, wanted to convey, is ever going to reach the right person. I mean, maybe the crew member takes it and be like, oh, you know what, I'm going to put this in my pocket and give it to my manager. But this isn't the way to give feedback. I'm not saying the person who wrote this doesn't have a problem or a good cause for complaint. What I'm saying is this isn't the way to do it, and they're wasting people's time or their own time by doing it. If you have a problem, there is a proper way to escalate issues. First and foremost, leaving passive-aggressive notes isn't the way to do it. What you really want to do is start barking up the tree. So I would call room service immediately. There's a 24-hour line you can call via your stateroom telephone. Pick up your phone, give them a call, and let them know. Now, obviously, the person answering that phone is going to be the base level crew member there. And probably this person is going to be a little angry. They want something else. So ask to speak to a manager. Go down to the main dining room and speak to the head waiter staff, because a lot of times the main dining room and room service use the same kitchen. So try to escalate it that way and let them know exactly what happened. That is what you should do, not leaving signs out here on your uneaten food or what have you. I just think that's just a waste of time, not to mention the fact that I just don't get it. And then lastly, we have the person who, bless their heart, as they say, wanted to really thank their cabin attendant. And rightfully so, I love that. So they packed dry erase markers and wrote on the mirror a very kind note. However, I think this really wasn't a great idea because, yes, you're thanking them for the hard work in a nice and creative way. However, now the stateroom attendant needs to put extra effort to clean up your message. Like, there's nothing wrong with leaving a note on a piece of paper in the cabin. Or better yet, let them know when you see them. When I debark a cabin for the last time, on the last morning of the cruise, I will seek out my stateroom attendant. I almost always give the stateroom attendant a little bit extra money. I prepay my gratuities before the cruise, but I'll usually give them, $20 extra, $100 extra. Depends on, of course, if I'm with my kids, how many rooms we have, how bad my kids were with keeping their room clean, things of that nature, right? But I'll take that opportunity to say thank you to their face and really, I think, show them how appreciative I am of their hard work. I don't think the person who wrote this is, obviously mean-spirited or anything like that. I just think that their idea probably creates more work than the thanks that the person deserves, which they're trying to convey. And there are better ways of doing it. So another again, bless their hearts. They tried hard, but this isn't probably the way to do it. All right, there you have it. 5 examples of people who meant well, but probably went above and not beyond what they should have been doing in the first place. They seemed like good ideas, but probably weren't great ideas. Let me know in the comments below your best examples and your best stories of, well, people trying to do the right thing, but maybe coming out the wrong way on it. Let me know in the comments below. While you're down below our video, hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications. That way, YouTube lets you know of a brand new video to share. This has been Matt from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com, and we'll talk again real soon.